if they're gonna push stuff like that and agendas
Yeah.
like that, we just need to do videos like disproving the lies that they're trying to convey.
I want, yeah, that would, oh yeah, that would be like a, yeah, I wonder what a good TV show would be to review for something like that. Maybe the ones you showed.
Yeah, has
And
been
like,
long.
even if I don't think I would like it, I would still watch it for like a good review.
Yeah, because man, the stuff that they push, man.
Man,
Like,
yeah, we have to, yeah, someone has to defend it. And hopefully we can do it in like a non, of course, like a bunch of Christians complain about it.
right.
So it'd be good to like demonstrate it in a way that even non-Christians can like appreciate our review. Like
Right.
an honest, unjudgmental review, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, man, I'm excited now.
Right. Yeah. When you watch, when you start watching it, let me know, and then I'll watch it too. And then
Oh, so you haven't watched it?
no, I watched it. I just
Oh,
need to
you.
rewatch
Oh,
it,
the
take
refresh.
screenshots of certain, and then focus in on certain scenes.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah, and especially if you said like a scene like really touches you or something like that, then I could take screenshots of that scene so we're on the same page with
Mm.
that scene and just draw stuff in. So every video would just be focusing on a certain scene, what we don't like about it, or
Oh, that'd be good.
something that they said about God that's not true, stuff like that. So it'd be
Yeah.
easy to tear up like that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Oh
Yeah, we're
wait.
back at it
Oh yeah,
again.
we're live. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. It's me, Sean Christopher Jenkins, and then my boy right here, my Barnabas, my Paul, Justin Lee Howell. So Barnabas and Paul, friends in the ministry. Just Jonathan and David. This is my Jonathan and David,
Oh
like
man, love
right,
Jonathan David.
right. So we got another life verse for you today. So we're live on a lot of platforms on our social media platforms. So I'm live on my YouTube channel, of course, Uplift past Crossroads. I'm also on any podcast platform. Subscribe to me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Chromecast, wherever you get your podcast, but preferably Spotify, right? My YouTube channel, Uplift past Crossroads. I'm streaming live on Facebook and LinkedIn, Sean Christopher Jenkins. I'm streaming on my Twitter page, my X page, Trouble Don't Last. That's also my Snap, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. I'm also on Instagram. My other Instagram, my underscore, day underscore, Bible Tone page, Trouble Don't Last #1. And then also, my YouTube channel, Upload Past Crossroads. As you can see, I got a whole lot of playlists. This is our 400 and I think 86 video. Yeah, our 486 video on my YouTube channel, Upload Past Crossroads. And then if you scroll down, you see a section called Our Podcast. And this is where you can see Justin's playlist on my YouTube channel. And so this is our 111th video. This is our 111th video right now. We just did a video before, and we titled that video. It was another light verse video on John 15 verse 13. So we titled it "No Greater Love." So that was one of Justin's life verses. So that's another playlist I have on my YouTube channel titled "Life Verses." So this is where we take a Bible verse that means a lot to us. Basically, it's where you can get to know us and our relationship with God and see what God has done with us and the knowledge and the insight and the wisdom that God has given us to apply to our lives. That's a life verse. Like, it changes us. It transforms us. It's a verse that God used, a revelation that God gave to us that really affected us in a way that dictated and transformed our relationship with God, with people, our ministries, all those things. So we're also streaming on Justin's YouTube channel, Chaplain's Log. I should have said that to start off with that. Right. And so once you subscribe to our YouTube channel, make sure to click the bell so you're notified anytime we upload another video. Make sure to like, comment, and share all our videos. Tell people our ministry and stuff like that. And then also, this is Facebook page, Justin Lee Howell. Okay. But anyways, let's get to it. All right. So today's life verse we will be talking about is Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verses 1-8. So I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna let Justin tear it up. So again, this is Justin's life verse, right? So let's get it. All right. So, and this is titled, this section of this verse in the Bible. So Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1-8. I'm reading from the New International Version. It's titled "A Time for Everything," and that's what I titled today's video. So it says, "There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to kill and I already said that. A time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear, and a time to mend, a time to be silent, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time for war, and a time for peace. So that's Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. Is that all of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, Justin? Or is
No, I
that...
think there's more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think there's at least 10 verses, but I feel like that's like the crux of it all.
Okay, so this is Justin's life verse. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. We get Justin's life verses today, right?
I actually like yeah, I'm trying to remember how this became a life verse
Okay.
because I feel like I've always been drawn to the book of Ecclesiastes because it is like very raw, like it's almost like raw philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the Bible is maybe storytelling or lessons through storytelling or commandments. But like Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, um, Psalms, Job, like those are usually identified as like the books of wisdom. It's where you go for like some good snippets of truth. And Ecclesiastes, if Proverbs is a little more optimistic, Ecclesiastes could be seen as a little more realistic because it doesn't sugarcoat like how bad life can be sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always attracted to me for that. But I like this section because I don't know, it's almost a comfort knowing that there is a time for everything, which shows that God is in control of all these things. Even things that seem like they're very opposed, like a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to be born, a time to die. Like they almost seem like on opposite spectrums, but they're both very necessary for our lives.
Mm.
And that's just how God works, I believe. Like he he allows enough change in our lives to be able to experience everything that life has, to enjoy the different seasons, to enjoy the different weather. But at the same time, he almost keeps it the same so that we're not caught off guard too much. It's kind of like that verse that says, what's the First Corinthians verse? It's like, um, each man has been given, or oh shoot, I'm going to butcher it now. But it's basically saying that God has not given us any more than what we can bear.
Yeah.
But if we have, then he will be faithful and will also provide a way out. And I think it's how it kind of goes. So it kind of these verses kind of show that the more things change, the more they stay the same as well. And I think that's for our benefit. Like we enjoy the changes of life, we enjoy experiencing new things, but it's also kind of the same thing because we are creatures of habit. We like to be familiar with stuff. So it's such an interesting dichotomy where you think, do things change? Do things stay the same? The answer is yes. But I just like that there is a season for everything. Like um God will put you through like different seasons because that's maybe you require a certain area of growth or you just require to go through, like maybe God will give you a time of peace in one moment or a time to grow in another. And that's always very difficult. Oh yeah, thanks for the verse. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to man. I guess like that's what I like about Ecclesiastes is it doesn't shy away the fact that life can be filled with prosperity or poverty or like wealth or misfortune.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of enjoy whatever comes our way. Man, I've been asking people for advice on like how to, like what it is to be a father. A lot of people have said, just enjoy this moment while it lasts. And I realize that includes like the late nights, the crying, the fatigue, along with like the laughter, the happiness, the good times. You kind of have to take the good with the bad. Like the good moments are even better because you have to go through the bad parts. Happiness is a lot more valuable because it's so hard to grasp sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the different seasons of our lives, we shouldn't, and maybe I'll be a hypocrite for this because I will also complain about bad things that happen in my life. But I think we do need to be thankful for every season that we go through just because it's made us who we are today as well. Like on this channel, like I enjoy hearing Sean's story. And I feel like I don't know all of Sean's story because there's always like a new thing from a video that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. But it's like those bits of story has made him strong. It's like the metal that's been refined through the fire. Like our stories have made us who we are nowadays. So we need to appreciate like every season that we go through, even if it's like some of the negative parts. Like let me see, like losing or hating or weeping, like those are just parts that have made the happier times even more valuable.
Killed it, man. That's some good stuff. That's where I was going at, man. Like I'm gonna look at the verse again. So if you just now tuning in, we're doing a life verse. This is Justice life verse. So, and I guess this is the revelation God gave you to what to expect in life, right? So I've been hesitant to say it, but like with the book of Ecclesiastes, I don't think it's no different than the book of Proverbs. Like I told you guys all the time, like a Proverbs, a general revelation made about life. It's an observation made about life. So God is giving you these observations. God is giving you the answers to the test. He's telling you how life works. And when you apply those lessons to your life, then you'll be successful. Then you'll be prosperous. Then you won't stumble and fall because you know what to expect in life. And this is literally what a book of Ecclesiastes is doing. It's written by Solomon, who God asked Solomon, what do you want in this life? And Solomon said, I want wisdom. And God was like, that's a great answer. I'm going to give you wisdom. I'm going to give you way more than what you asked for. I'm going to give you wisdom. And Solomon says, I tried all these things in life. I tried, in the book of Ecclesiastes, he said, I tried everything. And everything ends in vanity. Everything's pointless. Everything's is meaningless. Like, because like we think we get satisfaction if we get this promotion, I'll be happy. If we get more money, we'll be happy. If we become rich and famous, we'll be happy. Like if I get married to that person, my life will be complete. But then when you get the things you always dreamed of and wanted, you figure out real quick it's not enough. And only one person is enough. Only one person, only one being can satisfy you. Only one person in this world can give you all the contentment and satisfaction that you want and desire. And that's God. God is everything. God can be everything that you need. And he's everything that everybody needs. And this is literally what Solomon is leading to in the book of Ecclesiastes. So in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 through 8, he says this, there's a time for everything. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. So this is saying like, this is the world order. This is how God has orchestrated life to be. And you can't go around it. Some people will do everything not to die. They fear death. But you want to know something? Death is inevitable. You will die one day. It could be tomorrow. It could be 10 years from now. Heck, maybe you're lucky. It's 120 years from now. By the way, you're going to die. It's unavoidable. Everybody dies. Right? Everybody has to be born to live. Everything has to be born to live. Right? There's a time to plant and a time to uproot. Even plants die. Even plants get uprooted. Even you get uprooted from your house, from a certain city to a new city. We don't stay in one place. You're a human being. You're not a tree. Like even a tree can be moved, right? I think, yeah. But anyways, there's a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down, time to build, time to weep, time to laugh, time to mourn, time to dance. There's a time for everything, guys. This is what really gets me. A time for war and a time for peace. Did you guys know sometimes you got to go to war? Sometimes war is inevitable. Just like peace is inevitable. Like you can.
Man.
That's not even true.
That's threateningly optimistic.
Right.
Encouraging.
Right. War is inevitable. Wars will happen. Like some people will wage war against you. War is not just killing. War could just be somebody just trying to, take your job, try to ruin your reputation, trying to just, defame your name and all the slander you, just trying to hurt you in some kind of way, right? War. Somebody's at war with you, right? Family could be at war with you. Friends could be at war with you. Church members can be at war with you, right? Pastors could be at war with you, right? So sometimes peace can't be experienced in those situations. And that's nothing. Peace can't be experienced everywhere. Peace can't be experienced with everybody, right?
Mm.
So Paul even said that. Paul said in the book of Romans, that's actually a life verse, Justin, by the way. Romans chapter 12
Mm.
at the very end. It says that don't seek vengeance because vengeance is God. Vengeance is mine.
Mm.
It's of the Lord. That's what God said, right? So it says at the end, whose vengeance is better, yours or God's? Like, because you getting back at somebody is, that's peons compared to God getting back at somebody for something that offense that they did to you, right? Because God's vengeance is like heaping coals coming down from the sky. Heaping coals. If a pebble comes down from space, it could do damage,
Mm.
right? A pebble. But heaping coals of fire. That's what it said in the book of Revelations at the end. I mean, Revelations 12 at the very end. It says that God's vengeance is like heaping coals of fire, fiery coals coming down on your enemies. Which one's worse? That or you trying to, I'm not going to share my pencil with them because they always ask me for a pencil. So I'm not going to share my pencil this class period. That was me back in high school, Justin. Like, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's how we see pay people back. But, like, whose vengeance is worse, God's or yours? Like, just do what God said. Turn the other cheek. Forgive and love your enemies. Bless those who persecute you. Because at the end of the day, God's your vengeance. But this is my whole point. Paul said in Romans chapter 12, verse 18, I think, or 19, he said, as far as it depends on you, be at peace with all men. He said, as far as it depends on you. See, no matter how hard you try, and Justin, this is a good video to do another video on, and I won't forget this one. Like, who's somebody you just you try to have peace with, but like they just weren't happening.
Ooh,
yeah. Like, because
that
ties in with my life verse. So like you can split up my life verse, right? Romans 12 at the end. And like, so like there's certain people, like no matter how hard you try, you'll never have peace with them. Because they don't want peace with you. They want war, right? Because unhappy people only know bitterness, resentment, hurt, like pain, like misery loves company. But like when you're of God, from God, experiencing God's blessings, happy people can't help but be happy. So like they're not gonna let unhappy people affect them. They're not gonna let God's being in God's presence, they're not gonna let the world steal that joy, right?
Yeah.
From them. So like they'll do everything it takes to avoid toxic people, like not even come around people who are gonna affect their peace and sanity and stuff like that, because it's only gonna cost them to stumble and sin. So we're not gonna put ourselves in certain environments around certain people. So as far as it depends on you, be at peace with all men. Certain people hate me because I'm black, because I got braids, I look like a thug, it could be something stupid like that. You see what I'm saying? So like, that's them. That's not me. I'm not the problem. So all I can do is just do me and be at peace. Why would I try to make them like me? Why am I trying to get their approval? God loves me. That's enough, right? And the right people will love me. There's a time for love and there's a time for hate. That's what's sad, Justin. Certain people just aren't just gonna hate you. Just my accent, the way I talk. I sound too country or something. Or I sound, when people mock me, Justin, I actually sound nerdy when somebody mocks me. Like I sound like Steve Urkel talking. Like.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
So like, but I sound.
You got the suspenders too.
Right, I sound like a nerd. So like, but like, I don't care. It's just the way I sound, and it's from all the places I've been. Like I've been in Tennessee around country people, so certain words I say sound real country, right? Like even when I said country just now, that was country. So like it just comes out, right? So like certain people just not gonna like that. But like you guys see what I'm saying? There's a time and a place for everything. But that's the whole point. Like that's life. Like that another musical revelation Justin I have. Like I haven't said this yet. It's just been in my head. It's by Frank Sinatra. That's life. Right?
Oh yeah.
There's just a certain way that life works, man. Like you can't avoid it. Like there's gonna be pain, there's gonna be gain. There's gonna be blessings, there's gonna be curses. There's gonna be life and there's gonna be death. That's just the way this life works. But like me and Justin talked about with the book of Revelation, chapter 21 and 22, the last two chapters of the Bible. Like the last two chapters of the Bible is just a movie preview of what to expect of heaven. It's just a snippet, a little snapshot, of what heaven's gonna be like. There's so many more questions, but like from that snippet, from that snap screenshot, whatever you want to call it, right? We can come to the conclusion that heaven's going to be a different world order than what we experience on this earth. So that's the cool thing about your life verse, Justin, like Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 to 8, the video, right? So there's a time for everything, man. There's a time to search and a time to give up. You're not going to find everything you search for.
That's right.
There's a time to keep and a time to throw away. You know what's funny? That verse is so crazy. That was verse 6, right? A time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away. In this life, did you guys know there's certain things you're going to lose and you can never get back? Like the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
I think sometimes you kind of have to like let things go too, because sometimes if we hold on to something more tightly, we're going to lose it. What? Right. Oh shoot! What's that verse? Like if you try to save your life, you'll lose it. Yeah. If you give it away, you'll save it.
Matthew 16:25.
Man, yeah. Look at you, just off the top of your head.
Right.
But yeah, it's some things like that. Some things you have to, because if you waste your time holding on to something, you won't be able to like move on to the other things that God may have for you.
Man, this is good, man. Like, it's so deep, man. It's ridiculous. All right, guys. So, like Justin said, he just made a statement. He said that I forgot how you said it, but basically, guys, you can't keep everything in this life. Like,
yeah.
And if you try to hold on to things, then that's the minute you're gonna lose it, right? And so, Justin referenced, Matthew chapter 16, verse 25. I'm gonna just share my screen, all right? Because I don't have time to like put it in the chat, right? So Jesus said this in Matthew 16:24. He said, then Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone wants to come after me, he must first deny himself, take up his cross and follow me, right? And then he said in verse 25, for whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it, right? There's so many scripture verses just like that. Like if you try to hang on to your life, you'll lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you'll save it. Like Jesus promised us life and life more abundantly, man. That's heaven. Like literally, like we're trying to store up treasures in heaven. Like when you die, what can you keep here? Like Justin made a statement that made me think about that. What can you keep here? Nothing. Because when you die, you come into this world when you're born with nothing. And you know what's funny? No matter how much you gain, when you die, you can take nothing in this world with you to the next. But you know what? There are certain things you can store up in heaven that will be investments in heaven. Store up treasure in heaven. That's another video series I'm trying to start on my YouTube channel. I told Justin about that a long time ago. Like Jesus said, store up treasure in heaven where moth and rust can't destroy. Where human beings and thieves can't take away from you. What does that mean? That means to make investments for eternity. That means to show love to your neighbor, because the love that you show them may lead them to Christ, may show them may be what they needed in that season. Because Jesus said, what you do to the least of these, you done to me. And how you treat others is how you treat me, right? So like when you do good to God, what do you think happens? You think man's rewards, like Justin was saying on the other video, like sometimes I just want a hand clap, sometimes I just want applause, sometimes I just want credit. But do you want man's credit or do you want God's credit? Because Justin's killing it. Matthew chapter 6 is one of my favorite chapters in the Bible of all time. It's actually a life verse. I have not said this on my YouTube channel for a long time. Like Justin, I've never said it with you either. In Matthew chapter 6, it talks about how Jesus was coming at the Pharisees. He kept on saying, woe to you in a lot of places in his ministry, in the Bible. Like he always would say it to the Pharisees, because the Pharisees, like, man, they wanted to please God. They wanted to keep the law, but then they added to God's law. So they added more laws than what God said, because they thought to themselves, like, if I live righteously and holy, then God will love me. God will accept me. But that's not what God intended. Jesus said, I want you to focus, you guys, that's good, but you guys focus on good instead of better. Like you guys focused on, he said, you guys focused on these other things instead of what's most important, which is love, mercy, justice, right? So basically loving your neighbor instead of yourself, instead of, seeking God for yourself, by doing these things. Maybe you should do things for others. like you want to do for yourself. Actually, more than that. Then your return will be even greater. So like you did what was least important instead of what's most important.
Because what do they say? Like, if you want to help yourself, start with others.
Right. So
something like that.
And so like this is what he said in the book of Matthew, chapter 6. I'm gonna read it because it ties in like crazy, Justin. All right. So Jesus said, and this is Matthew chapter 5 through 7, right? So this is Matthew chapter 6. So it's a Sermon on the Mount. So really Jesus' first sermon, and it's the greatest sermon ever. Watch this, guys. So all right, so Matthew chapter 6, verse 1 reads, let me make it bigger. I want you guys to really see it. Yeah, you guys can see that really good. Move out the way, dumb advertisement. Nobody likes you.
Yeah.
All right, so giving to the needs, what this section is called. All right, so be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. That part's so dope. Let me keep on reading. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets to be honored by others. He's talking about the Pharisees. Moving. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees in secret, will reward you. Let me highlight that. I want everybody to get that one. That's too good right there. All right. And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. All right. He keeps on saying that. To be seen by others, right? Truly, I tell you, they have received a reward in full. All right. So the whole point is, guys, like, what do you do? What do you do in this life? When it comes to serving God, is it about being seen by others? Because if you're trying to be seen by others, right, you're not going to be seen by God. If you're trying to get a hand clap from others, you're not going to get a hand clap from God, because your heart's already wrong. It's in the wrong place. Who are you living for, God or for yourself? Because if you're trying to get hand claps from people, you're trying to live for yourself. You're trying to get praise from other people, pass on the back. Yeah, he's great, right? That's your reward. That's what the first verse said. He said, if you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. Like, it's about storing up treasures in heaven, guys. Like, that's what this life's all about. It's not about storing up treasures in this world. So there's a time and place for everything. There's the time and place now, right now, on this earth. The only time you can invest in heaven is in this world right now, in this time, right? Because what you do in this speck of time dictates all eternity, right? And that's literally what pastors say. They say, like, heaven is like an infinity line that keeps on going. Life after death, when you die, it's heaven or hell. It's for all eternity, right? So what you do in that speck of time, he said life on earth is like a speck on an infinity line that keeps on going, right? So life is just a speck on an infinity line. So what you do in that speck of time dictates all eternity. How long is eternity? Forever and ever and ever. It never stops. So like what you do in this speck of time dictates everything. This speck of time, guys. Time is precious, and you don't have a lot of it. The older you get, the less time you have. Like, I don't know if I have more days ahead of me than what's behind me or what. So that's the thing too. It's confusion. It's totally different than the world order in heaven. In heaven, everything's clear and transparent. There's no walls. There's no privacy.
Yes.
The walls are made of glass.
It's always lit. Yeah.
Right. It is always sunlight. Thank you, Justin. So darkness, what does darkness symbolize? It symbolizes a lot of things. God speaking through creation. Darkness symbolizes confusion, being lost, stumbling your toe on things in the dark, right? Stumbling, falling, not even knowing what to see. But what does light do? Light helps you to see. It helps you to navigate. It guides you. It leads you. Light is protection. Light does a lot. In heaven, it's only sunlight. There's no darkness. There's no pain. There's no sorrow. There's no tears. No crying. There's only joy. Only happiness. I can keep on going. Like, so in this world order, there's pain. There's suffering. There's hardships. There's trials. Like, it's all these things that we think we don't want. But that's life. And the whole point is to show yourself approved, right? Like, there's a reason why we go through trials, to become mature, to deepen our relationship with Christ, with God. Like, You know, there's a lot of reasons why we suffer, right? Because Jesus suffered. What we talked about in the video before, like sacrifices. We suffer so we make sacrifices to see something greater, to show if you're self-approved again, like to test your faith. Like God ain't testing you for himself. He knows you. He knows your heart. He knows what you need. That's why you're going through the test, right? So like we go through tests and trials and stuff like that, so we know where we are, so that we can't be deceived. So we know where we stand with God. So we know what we need to work on. There's a reason why the disciples, you know, Peter denied Jesus 3 times. The only disciple to be with Jesus when he was crucified was John. But for some reason, we always say none of the disciples were with him. But even John, he failed Jesus sometimes too. Like when Jesus was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane right before they came to get him to be on trial, to be persecuted and be crucified, right? Like he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. He had his 3 closest friends with him, James, John, and Peter. And he asked them to stay and pray with me. I need help. And what did they do? Slept. Like these are Jesus' closest friends, and they failed him when he needed them the most. Like, are you a good friend to God? Do you fail God sometimes? That's a yes. And that's this world order. You figure out, like, you fall short of all of God's goodness, all of God's glory. Like you pale in comparison, drastically, dramatically, of God's goodness, God's glory, God's everything, right? But yet God chose to love you and love me. God chose to still, you know, make a way for you to make it to his kingdom, right? God still chose to use you when he could have used anybody. God gave me a mouth to speak like I'm speaking right now. When he could have used anybody with the same personality that I got, the same drive that I got, but nobody's me. And God still uses me despite me, right? So it's just like, there's so much stuff that God's going on, but that's this world order. There's a time and place for everything. There's a time to speak. There's a time to listen. There's a time to love. There's a time to hate, because there's certain things you got to hate. There's certain things you got to love. There's certain things you got to throw away. There's certain things you got to keep. There's certain things you got to embrace. There's certain things you got to refrain from, because that's another thing as a believer. You can't hold everything. You can't do everything. Not everything's beneficial. Paul said that. Not everything should be embraced. Not everybody you can't be around everybody. Some people will bring out the worst in you, which goes back to what I was asking earlier, Justin. Like, who's the worst? Who brought out the worst in you? And then who was the worst that you ever experienced? So like, that's a whole nother video, man. Like,
I was about to say.
Let's really remember that. Okay. Like, I'm going to write it. I'm going to text it to you.
Definitely remember that one. That'd be an interesting topic.
Man, it's so deep, man. But you get what I'm saying. I'll let you go.
We got to be careful not to throw too much shade, though. I could easily see myself getting like really bitter about it. So I gotta keep it in check.
Hey man, it's the time. That's all it is. You'll get better with it.
It's the time. Okay.
I'll let you go ahead, man. I'm talking too long.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, that's let me think if I can like piggyback off of some of the stuff that you're saying. Yeah, it's just like I was gonna say something. I want to try to pull in something from what you were saying, but yeah, I think there are like a lot of times where you do need to like evaluate your life as well, and just like figure out what is something that's like dragging you down, and what's something that's like lifting you up. I think there are going to be a lot of times that we've always said that we should be thankful for like all the seasons that God has for us, like all the situations, even the ones that cause mourning and weeping. But I think there's also a time to like uproot as well, like figure out the things in the life that God wants you to have and what he wants you to like get rid of, which I think are very important, because you could be wasting your time on like a lot of energy. Like in the last video we were talking about for my other life verse, we were talking about how eventually as you get older, you discover the people who have your back and the people who are just like fair weather friends. And like during those seasons, we need to really hone in. And this is very biblical too. We surround ourselves with people who encourage and lift us up, and in turn, people that we can encourage and support. We do need to make sure like we uproot any of the toxic aspects of our life. And sometimes it's just like spring cleaning, or time to evaluate the life that we have. And that can be like a very difficult time, and that's related to like what Sean was saying about like holding on to some things a little like too much. But
Yeah.
like we do need to like figure out like what are things that are actually beneficial for us as well.
Right.
I do find it interesting that Sean called Ecclesiastes like the same as Proverbs, because I could see that like yes and no. Like
Mm.
it does offer wisdom, but I feel like Ecclesiastes is from the lens of a man who has just experienced the hills and valleys of all parts of life. Like for
Mm-hmm.
Proverbs, it's like very good. It's like just solid good advice that you can like put on a greeting card. Ecclesiastes, like sometimes there's a time to be born and a time to die, and it's like it's honestly just stuff that makes you question your life. But I think that's very healthy. I don't think I was talking to Sean about this. I think this was with my wife. We were talking about how like the freedom of choice for people, and I hope this isn't on the tangent, but like choice and free will are like everything. Like
Yeah.
if God wanted us to just follow him with like no choice, we would just be like automatons, robots. But the fact that we have freedom is so huge in our life. But it's interesting that nowadays, um, it's interesting looking at like being married to someone from China, because you see a group or culture who were so used to like just doing what the previous generation said or doing what they're told. It's so interesting seeing them start to westernize, as it's called, of like finding individual purpose or like discovering themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like that's very common for a lot of people our age nowadays, is like self-discovery. And I
Yeah.
think that's a great thing, because that's all about like I think each person has to be on their own journey or own seasons to discover how God plays a part in their life.
Mm-hmm.
I think a danger to that though as well is, as said before for these verses, like our lives are just filled with many different seasons. But a lot of times, sometimes we tend to fixate on whatever had the greatest impact on us.
Mm.
Like if you, I've said this before, like biologically, our minds are wired to remember the negative aspects of life the best. And that's because when we were out hunting, it's best to know where the lions were, what berries are poisonous, like all the things that kept us alive.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that evolutionary process, we don't need that evolutionary process as much nowadays. We don't have to be looking out for lions all the time.
Yeah.
But like our brains are stuck that way. So I see a lot of my friends do this, and I tend to do this. Hopefully, just short term. Maybe I'm being optimistic about it, but I see a lot of my friends like their whole worldview is focused in on due to a negative consequence in their life, and they'll fixate on that,
Mm.
or they'll focus on the time that died, but they will forget about the time that was born, or they will think about the time where things got uprooted, but they'll forget about like what was planted there afterwards. And I feel like a lot of our self discovery can be geared towards that. When we like go out and try to discover what the truth is, a lot of time it's less discovery and it's more deciding. Like we decide what is the best truth that works for us. And again, we are very biased. We tend to, we might tend to like focus on the negative aspects and like miss God in those details, or we will see how something worked short term, but not necessarily for long term. And in the last video, we were talking about how like a lot of a lot of people who are like quote unquote realistic, cynical people, their methods may be more better short term in like achieving some goals. But if you want to make it far, like you do it with another person, like you do it with the hope that God has something better for you in the future. And like better things don't always happen in short term, unfortunately. Sometimes it takes like a whole season, or even in the case of like some biblical stories, years before like the good times will roll.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like there's a danger nowadays where people will take their biased experiences out of the lens of God, and like they decide what's best for them. Like they'll decide, oh, our life is short, so I need to like do whatever I want, like drink. Like having freedom is great. Taking it too far is a terrible thing. Like
Mm.
because if you decide like you'll live the life that you always wanted, well, what if you have like a wife or husband or family? Like where do they play into it? Like you pretty much just abandon them.
Right.
And that's like that just creates more hurt as well.
Right.
So hopefully I'm not off on a tangent, but I
Right.
just feel like a lot of times for our experiences, instead of like deciding what's best, I don't know how to word it. We need to discover what's best, because God does have our best at heart,
Mm.
but it's not going to be cookie cutter. It's the same for everybody. It
Right.
is going to play a special place in each person, in our hearts. And I think it's good to discover the truth as long as it like leads back to God, because God is the ultimate truth, and the truth is everything. But it can be a lot of times we can like mutilate it in a way that we're like, oh, well, this truth works for me. No, there's like one truth. It just plays out in different people.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I feel like that was such a roundabout way of saying that. I feel like I could have just wrapped it up of like, there's one truth, but it works differently for different people. Maybe
Yeah.
I should have just like said that at the beginning and saved the time from like going around on a merry-go-round of whatever was coming out of my mouth.
No, you good, man. You said it like it needed to be said. Like
Mm.
it reminded me of the Ecclesiastes. That's my life verse, right? I think we did videos on it, right? So it's Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 9 through 10. And it really relates what Justin just said. Like he just struck a chord with me. He said,
Mm.
a lot of times we try to discover what's best,
Mm.
but God already knows what's best.
Yeah.
He's already given the way he's orchestrated everybody's life is perfect. Because to say that he didn't do that is to say that his will is not perfect. His plans aren't perfect. His ways makes no sense.
Mm.
And that's totally anti-scriptural. Like there's so many verses that says his ways are higher than our ways. His way of doing things are better than our ways of doing things. Like the way God has planned everything is perfect, and that's not a debate. Like you couldn't have done a better job. Like if you were God, you probably would have did it the same way if you were God, because you know, like it was the best plans and the best will and the best everything for that person, for that individual. So like that's really hard for people to say, because like so many people are experiencing traumas and like with sexual abuse and like I mean, it could be somebody throwing acid on you and like, or you going through a fire and like your whole body was burned. Now you gotta live the rest of your life as a burnt victim and what they look like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of awful things going on in this world. A lot of awful people who experience a lot of just nightmares. Like, what's a nightmare to me is somebody's story and literally their whole life and what they gotta live with. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, like that's a factor. But like, if we're if we say we believe in God and we trust in His promises, right? That means we accept everything that His Word says. And so, like, there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time for war, time for love, time for hate, and it's for a reason. And Paul even said it in Romans 8, verse 18. He said, "I consider what we suffer at this present time. Can I compare it all to the glory that will be revealed to us?" Like our suffering is not for nothing. The pain that you have experienced, the hurt that you're experiencing, is not it's not going to be in vain. Like God's going to use it. And you know what's crazy? Whatever your pain is your ministry. Your suffering is the launching pad to what God wants to use you for, right?
Mm.
So like our pain, our suffering, like our scars, they're not for naught. You know, it doesn't just happen. Like some people just think life just happens. Like life is just nothingness. Like they literally think like everything just happened accidentally. No, everything happens with purpose. You hear what I said? With purpose. Because your purpose is tied to what hurts you. Because God wants you to overcome what hurts you.
Yeah.
He wants to show you how good he is, because what hurts you don't define you, he does. Like his word defines you, not the trauma, not the people who made you a victim, right? Like so many people, that's all you're living. That's all you've been experiencing. You just keep on replaying the past, living in the past. But God is greater than your past. His promises aren't tied to your past. Actually, they are. Like because God will use that hurt to give you a greater promise. Like, you see what I'm saying? So, like, I'm gonna say this scripture verse. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 9 through 10. It's my favorite one of all time, I think, because God literally spoke to me. I told you I did videos on it, guys. Just check it on my YouTube channel. I'm not gonna say it, but I've done a lot of videos on this verse. Right? So Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 9 says, "Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. Just dreaming about nice things is meaningless. It's like chasing the wind." Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like that.
I'm reverse 10. Everything has already been decided.
Oh.
It was known long ago what each person would be. So there's no use in arguing with God about your destiny. Did you guys see that? Like, so many people want to argue with God, like, my life should be like this. Like, I should not have experienced this pain. I should have experienced this victory. Like, God messed things up. No, he did not. No, he did not. Because it's kind of like what Jesus said. Like, everything comes together, guys. Like, life's a puzzle. Everybody's trying to figure it out. Because God knows the puzzle. He knows the end from the beginning. He knows your story, my story, everybody's story. You know, people who don't exist from 50 years from now, 1,000 years from now. He knows their story too. Like, he knows he wrote it all. You don't. You don't know your story. You don't know how it ends. You don't know how it began. You know where it's at now. But do you know what's going to happen 10 years from now? 100 years from now? Where will you be 1,000,000 years from now? Some people said dead. But where?
Like, Gosh. Sorry, that caught me off guard.
Right. So, like, everything has already been decided. God has already wrote it all. He's the author and the finisher. There's the reason why the Bible says that. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He's in the in-between too. There's a reason why people's birthday, like when they die, on their tombstone, it says the birthday, the dash, guys. In the end date, the day that they died. The dash is everything. The dash dictates what somebody's life was, right? But it doesn't end. God's the Alpha and Omega. You think your story ends there? Is that it with God? No. So, like, everything has already been decided. It was known long ago what each person would be. So there's no use to arguing with God about your destiny. Like, so many people, they desire this, they desire that. They live off their desires and what they want. But, like, there's a time and a place for everything. So maybe you have already experienced what you wanted. And that's it. You experienced it already. You're not going to have it again. Like, that was your story. At least you got it. Some people never got to experience it. But like, it's about going through life and figuring out what is God's plans, what's God's purpose, because that's what it is. It ain't yours, it's God's. Like, so many people, one quote I hate, Justin, it's a quote of the day, and it's a false quote. So, like, it's another video. Is I'm the captain of my fate. I'm the master. No, I'm the master of my soul. I'm the captain of my fate. No, you're not. No, you're not. God is. Because if you were, you get to decide when you die. You get to decide how many kids you have. You get to decide certain things, like how much money I'm going to have. Because if I had it my way, I would have all the money in the world. But I don't, right? Like, if I had it my way, I would have the greatest ministry ever right now. But it's not about my way. It's about God's way. And that's so many people's lives. Nobody can tell me your life is exactly right now how you want it to be, like, perfectly. Like, there's probably somebody experiencing that right now. But how long will that be? Because it only lasts for so long, right? Because eventually it will be taken away from you. And how many people don't want their blessings to be taken away from them? Everybody, right? But, like, that's the whole point of life. So enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. That's life. Like, there's a time and a place for everything. And this is how that ties in. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 6. We're in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 right now. So, like, life's about enjoying what you have right now. Because how long are you going to have it? How long is it going to be in front of you? How long do you get to experience life? You don't know. So many people are chasing the wind. They're chasing things that are meaningless, chasing things that, aren't beneficial in the end. Like, for example, like I think like I would love to do it. My wife just came in here because she just got off work. I'm gonna just say it. Like, if I could have sex with all the women in the world, I would. But like, what's the benefit of that? It's the consequences to everything in life. So if I lived my life just having sex with all the women in the world, where would that put me? What's the result? And then if I don't do that and just, be faithful to my wife, my children, right? What does that look like? So it's two different lives, two different consequences. Because in life, there's always going to be a consequence, even when you do the right thing. So which consequence do you want? Which regret do you want? Because you're always going to have regrets, right? So I'd rather be married and have kids. So that's having a legacy than just have sex and that's all my life. And that's all I ever do, right? Because I could come up with an STD. I could die early. Like something could happen. Yeah. I could ruin people's other women's lives because they're married or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's just so much drama there. That's certain people's lives. I don't want that. Like, because in the end, you're going to be alone in the end. You're going to be alone. An old person, if you make it to be old, you're not going to have no legacy. Have nothing to pass on. It's all just for you. What kind of life is that? That's meaningless, right? So instead of desiring things and make that, some people live off their desires, live off of, I wish I had this. I wish I had that. What kind of life is that? So just whatever the whole point of why I said that is, are you weeping right now or are you laughing right now? Like, are you mourning right now or are you dancing right now? Are you scattered? There's a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. Like, where are you at in life? Because like wherever you are, it's life. It happens. That's the way God made it. So the whole point, like Justin said at the very beginning of the video, just enjoy what you have. Like, just enjoy your life right now. Because here goes a visual, guys. Like, there's a series on my YouTube channel called Instagram Post Explain. This one I explain like a photo that I really like. And here goes one of my favorite photos of all time. Like, a lot of times we value things. This is the value of things that we have in life. Like, we value things a lot before we get them. And then we value things a lot after we get them. I mean, after we lose it, right? So the value of something before we get it and after we lose it are really high. But when we have something, we tend to not appreciate it like we should. And this is the whole point. See, some of you guys are experiencing blessings you've been praying for. Like, I'm married to the baddest woman on earth to ever exist. Like, this is my rib. She's my other half. Like, I told myself way before I got married, when I used to cry myself to sleep every single night in college, I said to God and promised to God, if I just had my woman, my wife, my rib, my P2, my puzzle piece, the one that fits the puzzle, right? If I had her, I don't care what life throws at me, long as I have her, that's enough. And now I got her, Justin.
And what happened when you got her?
Oh, I still think it's enough. I just remember.
I feel you like you did.
Right. So like, but like some of us, like, you claiming to God, like, if I get this, if I get that, like a lot of you guys are living on answered prayers, and you're forgetting about what you prayed for and what God did for you. Like, you pray for this moment, but you're not appreciating this moment. Like, I got a son coming November 26th around there. Zion Emmanuel Jenkins. I'm gonna say his name. So you guys know Zion Emmanuel Jenkins, man.
That's
like,
the first time I heard his middle name.
You haven't heard it yet? So like, that's my son, right? I wanted a son to start out. I'm so thankful it was not a girl. I wanted a son. I'm so happy. Like, I get to pour in my love and just, I get to experience life even when I'm dead because my son's going to be alive. And if I get more kids, my children will be alive, right? So it's just like, this is something I dreamed of. I'm about to be a dad. I'm a husband. So like, I better appreciate it. I don't care what life throws at me. Like, it's going to throw things your way. That's life. Like Jesus said in John 16:33, in this world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Like, this is life, guys. There's a time for everything. Your time will come when you lose, and your time will come when you win. And maybe sometimes in this life you will lose more than you win. But you know what? In the end, when it's all said and done, If you live God's way, all you're gonna do is win. Because when you get to heaven, that's all heaven is winning. It's all victory. That's it. So all that weeping, all that crying, all the pain, all the suffering, this is the time right now. This is the worst it gets for a believer. This is the worst it gets for a child of God. Because it gets better than this. I don't care how good your best day on earth pales in comparison of the worst day in heaven. And there ain't no worst day in heaven. Right? So like we got it good. So there's a time and a place for everything. So the stuff you see in Ecclesiastes 3, it may be doom, it may be gloom. It may look dark. And like, I mean, you know, we and Justin just talking about some dark superhero stuff. So now we got dark superhero stuff compared to all sunshine and rain, all happiness superhero stuff, right? So, but like that's life. Like life's dark, right? But eventually it will all be worth it. Like, but all we can do is have faith in it. We don't know how. It seems illogical. It seems like it's not going to happen. And that's the world order. That's the way it's orchestrated, guys, to make you believe that. But we live based on faith, guys. We don't live based off what we see and what we have experienced. We live based on what God said, not what man says, not what man thinks. We live based on what God said and what God thought and what God thinks. Right? God's the star, not you. So like this verse, so Justin, man, take it away, man. Just talk for the rest.
I think, and I feel like I'm gonna go way back to what you're saying before. Like all of us sometimes freak out about like, oh, I deserve this, or like, why did things happen this way? And like honestly, I think there's a comfort to having these things. I don't want to say set in stone because I don't know how like God's plan works with like our autonomy as well. But like I think there should be like a level of comfort knowing that God does have these things planned out, or he does have a general guideline for how we can live. And like he always, as the Bible verse says, like he works for the good of those who believe and love in him. So I think there is like a like I know with my brother, like we'll argue like uh I think he just likes to argue. But he's saying like if God knows what's going to happen, then like free will is an illusion. Like it doesn't exist. Like things are already planned out. But man, like that's our gift is not knowing what will happen.
Right.
Having the joy of like making these decisions, sometimes making mistakes. But like there's a comfort in making these decisions by knowing that God will be with us through all of these things as well. Like I don't think that takes away from any of our free will necessarily, because like we still make those choices. Just because God knows what choices we'll make doesn't mean that we didn't make them.
Right.
I need to remember that so I can argue with my brother later. That's it. That was a good line. Yeah, just because God knows the decisions we made doesn't mean we didn't make those decisions. But like all those different times, like the times we go through as well, like times of war, times of peace, times of love, times of hate, like God knows everything that we're going to go through as well, which makes it a comfort as well. Like lots of people decry that if God knows bad things are happening, then he can't be like a just God. And that does break my heart a little bit, knowing that there's a lot of people who turn away from God, knowing that bad things happen in this world, or like natural disasters still happen.
Yeah.
But part of that is just part of that's a consequence of living in a broken world.
Yeah,
like God's
like
God's I don't want to say he's had to adjust, but because we broke God's creation or broke the world or the gift that he gave us, we can't understand how his justice necessarily works or how his ways work. Like reading through Job and Ecclesiastes are both very good books on like getting advice, but also questioning everything in life. In Job, I don't think Job actually ever got an answer to like why God was allowing him to suffer. God didn't make him suffer, but he did allow it, which there's a difference. Like Job never got an answer, but like from talking with his friends, then talking with God, we learn that things in this world are just like too complicated for us to comprehend.
Yeah.
There's a TV show that my family liked to watch called The Good Place,
Hmm.
and it was talking about how like no one had made it to the good place in like decades or maybe centuries. I can't remember. And that was because in the earlier times when you did something good, like it was very simple, like it went straight to your good points. But nowadays things are so convoluted, that even a good thing could have bad repercussions. Like the example they gave was like there was this one guy who bought roses for his grandmother, or bought flowers for his sick grandmother. The problem was like the flowers came from this company, from a CEO who cheated on his wife, whose practices abused third world countries in order to like make money. So like good act that good act that the grandson supposedly did earned him negative points because he's supporting this business that did all these bad things. So you kind of see. So just thinking of that, like whenever we decry to God, oh, why are you such an unjust God? We don't really have the authority to say, why do you let these bad things happen? Or why do you allow these bad seasons to happen? And um, one, it could be because it's for our betterment, because sometimes we just have to be that metal that gets refined through fire.
Mm.
But other times it could just be because we don't know what's going on. We don't understand. Like my misery the could bring joy to somebody else. I don't know. It's like I don't know, like the chain of events that could allow someone to receive a blessing, even if it's at my own detriment. And sometimes those things happen. Not everyone can be happy. Not everyone can have the same peace. It's like you can't please everybody, pretty much. Like there are a lot of people and politicians who try to be people pleasers, and I'm sure their heart is in the right place, but it's just impossible to please everybody for that. So like, just a long story short, like we can't question why God allows things to happen. Sometimes people will be, even on the other side. I feel like we too loosely say, "Oh, I'm so thankful," like, or I'm sure like God did this so I can become a better person. And
Yeah.
it's like maybe not. I don't know what God's thinking at that time. I think it's always dangerous to try to pretend that we do.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, just a long story short, I think we do have to like just trusting God to work out these things,
Hmm.
and not pretend that we know the machinations of God's mind and like say, "Oh, I could do it better."
Right. Yeah, man, this verse so dope, man. Like, do you have
Yeah, that's a
anything
good
else?
verse.
Like, do you have? I wonder, like, where else you're trying to go with this? Like, do you have like another perspective or something like with this verse? Like, cause and then when did this become your life verse too? Like,
This one's more recent. I want to say like this one was like when I was in Nashville, so can't be like more than 7 years old.
okay,
But I guess I just like this. I don't know. Like I just like Ecclesiastes. Then I found out there's like a song by the Birds. It's like turn. It's I think it's called Turn Turn Turn, and
hmm
it's basically like they're singing Ecclesiastes chapter 3. It's
hmm
like for every season turn turn, something like that.
you gotta
But
send me. You gotta send me. That should be a song of the day. You should send
oh
me.
yeah. I mean it's basically just Ecclesiastes 8 with like a few changed words. I think they. It's funny. I think they credit King Solomon with some of the lyrics. So on record, this is the oldest song. King Solomon is credited as the oldest songwriter to hit like the top 40 soundboard or something like that,
Okay.
which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's yeah, like if I really wanted to, like I could go through like each verse and like um but I didn't make notes for that because I feel like that'd be like such a long time. It'd be like a time to be born, a time to die, and like that seems kind of obvious. But like there are times to like I do like some of them where it's like a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. It's like sometimes there are times that we have to comfort people. And then there are sometimes times where sometimes it's better just to give people some time or give people space.
Right.
And I won't go into that. That's like a direction that I could have gone into. And I've done a Bible study for this before, but I don't think I will for this video, just because it would be pretty long. But yeah, I do feel like a lot of I will go into this direction though. I feel like a lot of these verses require a lot of wisdom or discernment from God, because a lot of times we might have like good intentions, but they may have like a negative outcome. Kind of like the Good Place example that I was using. Like even buying flowers for your grandmother could have like negative consequences because you're supporting a company that abuses workers or something like that. We just never know. So I think just leaning on God for our decisions on when we need to cry, when we need to laugh is really important. Oh, it made me think of a superhero movie I watched, like Blue Beetle.
Mm-hmm.
Very new. But it was like the father had. Oh wait, shoot, spoilers.
Go ahead.
So
Oh,
some. Well, shoot, I already said who it was. But the father passed away, and then like the grandson gets abducted, and the grandmother, who had apparently been in like fought in like a civil war in Mexico or something. I don't know. She was like trying to lift up the family by saying, there's a time to cry, but not now. Now we need to like save Jaime, which is the grandson.
right.
And like gosh, I loved that part because it was such an emotional time. Um, it was like such an emotional time. It'd be very easy to cry, but you had to put it into perspective of like, is now the right time? And
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes when I'm with my wife as well, like there, this is a part we argue about a lot. Is like I don't like it when people freak out. I think there are times I think it's very natural to like be surprised or be shocked at something, but I think freaking out causes mistakes sometimes.
Mm.
And I think in the situation, you can be overwhelmed by emotions at certain points. Sometimes when you're in a situation, this may be like because I feel like I need to be the man in the relationship. I feel like sometimes you do need to like keep a level head and take care of business and then process your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And like my wife also brought up some good points. I'm not doing her justice. I kind of just expressed my part. But that's just an example of like how I think you need God's discernment on like when is a good time for something.
Yeah.
Because on paper, all of these things can be good things,
Mm.
but it can be really bad timing for them.
Okay. Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, there's a time for everything. Like,
Yeah. I just like that. There's a time for everything, a season for every activity. Yeah.
I have a story time with that. Like, there's a time for
Ooh,
everything. I forgot.
okay.
I totally forgot. But my story. There's a separate video because it's too good.
Oh man.
But basically, there's a time to shut up and there's a time to talk.
Yes.
Right? And that
That's
is
so true.
so important for a believer to understand. So many believers, they don't have that. They don't have that revelation yet.
Mm.
Because you don't need a you may be a preacher, but there's a time to preach and there's a time just to be there.
Yeah.
Right? There's a time to reach people for Christ, and there's a time just to be a friend. Like Jesus was a friend with sinners, guys.
Yeah.
You think he preached the whole time with just talking? No, he was. The Pharisees mistaked him for a friend with sinners. He was hanging out with the prostitutes. He was hanging out with the tax collectors. He was hanging out with people who other people would deem as unholy, unbecoming, and you have as a believer, you can't be around. But Jesus was with him. But he was with him his way. Like he brought him to where he brought him to his level. Not he didn't drop down to their level. Like they came to him, right? And did you hear what I said? They came to him because he ain't just talk; he listened. You know, that's what's crazy. With God, that's really crazy. Do you think Jesus talked a lot? Like, because does God
Ooh.
talk a lot? You know, does God talk a lot? Because that's the thing, guys. You gotta really think. When God talks, stuff happens. So like he doesn't waste words. So and then also too, anytime God has spoke to me, he only has to say a sentence or a few words. And that says a billion different things. Like he's literally accomplishing a lot with what he's saying. It kind of go back to what Justin said. Like, what is God doing through our suffering and our pain? Like, we try to say what he did and stuff, but like, in my opinion, and from what my experience, like God's not just doing one thing when we experience things. Like he's doing a billion different things. Like he's working in ways you don't even understand, can't fathom right now until later on. And even then, you probably still won't know until all eternity. And even then, it's all eternity for a reason, because you're still going to discover even more ways that God blessed you, even more things that God did. Because you probably meet people that you only stumbled across in the airport that made it to heaven just because of a simple kindness act that you did. Like, I saw God through you. Give me one person did that to me in college. Long story short, this guy, he always would laugh at me anytime I came in the room with two other girls. Like anytime they saw me, they would just laugh at me. And they would act like they weren't laughing at me, but I knew they were laughing at me. And one time I was at Tennessee State University. Every once in a while, they didn't have no tissue or no napkins to use in the cafeteria. Like it happened every once in a while, actually quite often, and there'll be no napkins to use anywhere in the cafeteria. So like, and I was eating wings, Justin. I was eating good too. I had like 50 wings, man. I was just eating good, and I needed a napkin. There was no napkins, Justin, and I was like, you should have seen my face. I was so out of it. And Jalil was sitting right in front of me, looking at me the whole time, and he handed me like 50 napkins. I could have cried. I could have cried in that moment, Justin. Like it was just out of nowhere. Like and he laughed at me every time, and he just gave me some. He didn't give me one napkin. He gave me like 50. Man, there's a time and a place for everything, guys. Like, what was I talking about? I don't even remember what I was talking about before, but like, you guys get it, man. Like, yeah, I gotta do that story time, man.
That would be cool. I would like to hear that.
What did I say the story time was?
Time to talk and a time to shut up, right?
Yeah, time to talk, time to shut up. Yeah, let me make sure I say.
Yeah, write that down.
Yeah, I'm writing it down now. But yeah, guys, like, time to talk, time to shut up, man. Like, so many Christians, man, all you do is try to evangelize, talk. But you know, the greatest sermon people listen to is your life. Like, your actions, the way you treat people matters. Like, if you don't have love, then it don't matter what you say. Like, actions speak louder than words. So, like, just like I talk about all the time on my YouTube channel, like with salt and light, like they're both silent. And Jesus said, "You're the salt and light of the world." Salt has 44,000 different functionalities in this world. 44,000, like salt. So, like, as a believer, that's how many functionalities you have to reach people for Christ. And you know, talking is just one of the functionalities. But so many people put emphasis on, man, I gotta reach people. Like it's like Mormons. I think Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses.
And Mormons, yeah.
They go out and try to evangelize, and they have like a tally list of like all the times they reach people, and that's their accomplishment, and they think that's problem closer to God and stuff. It don't. Actions speak louder than words. Like you could preach all you want. I could preach a billion sermons, but if I treat my wife like crap, which one's more important? Family comes first. Family is your first ministry. What about my kids? You know, I preach love, but I treat my kids like crap. See, see, a lot of people got it twisted, Justin. Like, yeah, this world, man. There's time and place for everything, guys. So your time to love is right now, basically. So yeah, Justin. You good, man? Did you say everything you wanted to say? Because it's your life first, man.
Yeah. I think I hit on like the good parts. I appreciate you letting me do my life first though.
Right. I ain't gonna lie, guys. Like I've been pushing. I haven't pushed Justin to do a video like in a long time. But like, and when I say that, I mean like I haven't pushed him to come up with his own idea to like for us to do a video on in a long time. Like, so I used to always ask him like, Justin, what idea do you want to do for our video today? And he never gave me one. He always just let me come up with my ideas, and we always did a video that
Yeah, because I always you always had like good ideas. I was always on board.
But I gotta say, guys, like this was the greatest 2 videos ever on my YouTube channel. Like, so from now on, Justin, you come up with the videos, bro. I'm never coming up with another video ever again. It's all you. So
like a story time though. That would be. I feel like that'd be a good one.
Oh, that's the next one, man. Like, I definitely got a lot to say on that. Like, that's something I should have been done did that. Like a story time of like the story time is a time when I should have shut up, and because I talked so much, I didn't reach nobody for Christ.
Yeah.
And what's crazy, you guys hear me talk. All I gotta do is say something. I'll reach people for Christ. But did you guys know you could talk so much? You could talk people out of even wanting to know Christ, and it was other believers too. Like they were affected negatively. So yeah, it was crazy, Justin. And it was crazy. One of my close friends, that's one of my groomsmen, he was there. So like he experienced the whole thing. So
really?
Yeah, he always throws it in my face and jokes about it with me. Like, yeah. He told my wife and his wife about it. So yeah, he always brings it up. So yeah, that's when he met me, Justin. And we still friends. Like,
oh, that's good.
He's the only friend I made really there. Like he loved me despite my weakness.
Hey, sometimes you just need one good one.
Right. But yeah, guys, that's the video, man. 2 greatest videos ever. Make sure to watch both of them. Like this was Justin's life verses. So from now on, Justin comes up with the video ideas. Like, this was
man.
great.
I'm glad we got through this one though.
Yeah, like so this was Justin's life verse, Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. So a time for everything is what y'all just watched. My last live stream that we did, me and Justin, was John 15:13. So no greater love. That was Justin's other life verse. So if you enjoyed this video, man, go ahead and watch that one too, man. It was too good. So on my YouTube channel, Uplift past Crossroads, I got a whole lot of playlists. If you loved us just breaking down life verses, check out that playlist on my YouTube channel, Uplift past Crossroads. And you can get way more life verses to just get an understanding of how we came to the relationship with God and what God has done for us. Like that's what a life verse is. Then also I got verses of the day as another playlist. So this video will be on that playlist as well. So if you want to hear more verses of the Bible broken down, check out that playlist. And then also Ecclesiastes chapter 3, I got videos on that. Well, I got one video, now 2, on Ecclesiastes chapter 3. So check out that playlist as well for more future sermons and Bible studies. But I got a whole lot of videos on Book of Ecclesiastes. I got sermons that I preach on Book of Ecclesiastes. I got Bible studies with Justin. Like this is what me and Justin throwback when he came and visit me.
Oh yeah, man, that was good. Yeah, I like doing the in person better because we can like feed off of each other a little easier.
Right, look at us, man.
Man, I wish we could do that more.
Right. So yeah, that's when we'll definitely. I'm sure we'll have a lot more videos when we do it in person, especially like. But honestly, Justin, when we're in the Airbnb and stuff, I just want it to be me and you, man. Like just promo, like no videos or nothing. But I don't know. Me and Justin get carried away, so I'm pretty sure we'll probably hit you guys with videos.
Yeah, we talked for like 40 minutes in between the 2 videos. I feel like.
Yeah.
Just like video ideas or like good. I don't know. It's just easy to feed off of each other. I feel like.
Right. See, iron sharpens iron, guys. That's another.
Yeah.
Verse.
Oh gosh, that's another one of my life verses.
Yeah. So me and Justin will tear that one up. But yeah, guys, I pray you guys enjoyed the video, man. Make sure to support Justin's YouTube channel. So he'll start doing a lot more like his own separate videos. He has his own separate videos on here on his YouTube channel, Chaplain's Log. And so make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. Then make sure to click the bell after you subscribe so you're notified anytime he uploads another video. And please, when you watch our videos, watch all the way through, like, comment, and share. Tell people about our ministry so, yeah, they know about us. And then also, I haven't said this on my YouTube channel before, but if you go to Justin's YouTube channel, he has his wedding on here. So if you want to see
his yeah, right.
You can check that out. I'm right there.
Yeah.
They're right there at the end. So
man, that was such a good day. I love that day.
Right. You want to see him get married? He said, I love that day. Yeah, check out his wedding on there. It's his last live stream video on his YouTube channel. And then also, you enjoyed us talking, check out this playlist on my YouTube channel, Uplift Past Crossroads. His name that is Justin's name, Justin Lee Howell. You can see us talk way more. This is our 111th video, so we got way more videos for you. If you want to hear me and Justin tear it up, my Barnabas, my Jonathan, my David, my Paul, right? We just work good together. Peanut butter and jelly, man. We're like Batman and Batman, not Batman and Robin. We're the same. So,
Batman and Superman.
Yeah, I mean they're good together too. And if you have any questions, DM us on our Facebook page. Justin Lee Howell's his Facebook page. Mine, Sean Christopher Jenkins. And we love to do questions from social media. That's on my YouTube channel. So we want to answer your question on the video because we tear it up together. It's better.
Some of you guys have really good questions too. I like those.
And we got some videos coming out with us answering questions. We just haven't got to it because I've been getting a lot. So yeah, appreciate that, guys. Just takes time to do it with both of our schedules. But one day we'll do videos way more often every day. Especially when I start paying Justin, then he'll have
Man, I just the experience I get is all the payment I need.
Yeah. We'll see when you start.
Pay me with exposure. Is that what you call it?
Right. I'm gonna pay you with everything, man. Like you gonna get my reward, then you gonna get God's. Like
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll talk to you guys later. You guys have a good one, man. Peace out.